All right, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the LoudMouth MMA podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Steele. Today, another breakdown. This one, UFC Poland, also known as UFC Fight Night 118. Yeah, pretty sure.
I like how you just called it UFC Poland instead of UFC Gdansk.
I'm not.
Skipped right over that.
Oh, yeah, we're not doing that. It's in Poland, baby, and that's what we're calling it. Listen, hashtag UFC Poland. That's what we're typing in the entire week. How do you actually pronounce Gdansk? Gdansk. Yeah, that's actually a really cool name, Gdansk. It has a ring to it.
Just say it. It's better than
Gdansk.
UFC Poland.
UFC Gdansk. Hi, Tony, whatever your name is. I kind of figured you would just chime in the middle of that conversation, and that's how we'd introduce you.
Yeah, rolling with Gdansk. I'm on the Gdansk team.
Team Gdansk?
Sure. Yes, Team Gdansk.
I'm on team fucked up hashtags on Twitter. That's the best thing about these cards. Like, was it UFC Satima that happened, or UFC, like, people can't spell Rotterdam when there's a card there. It's the best thing about these cards.
It's called
Twitter's all fucked up.
UFC Netherlands, UFC Japan, UFC Poland.
I'm convinced people would fuck up spelling Netherlands.
Oh, Netherlands is kind of tough. Gdansk is either to spell the Netherlands, for sure. For sure.
By the way, this whole conversation is as good as the card is.
This isn't a bad card. I don't know. I like
For
it.
betting it is.
Don't defend it.
I'm defending it. It's not that bad. It's not great, but it's not that. I mean, it is a little weird. I mean, Kolakowicz and UFC newcomer, I know there's a little bit of hype there, but nevertheless, UFC newcomer Jody Escobel is the co-main event of the card. I don't even know if I don't even think she'd ever main evented. Did she? She did. She main evented one card in Invicta, a fight that she lost, but she main evented a fight in Invicta, and that's it. Now she's the co-main on a UFC card.
But you don't.
She's Polish.
And you have to understand she's huge in Poland. She fought in KSW.
Exactly.
She's a big star over there. She's bigger than Joanna is in Poland.
And that's what I was saying. Like, there's that hype around her there, right? So that's obviously why she's in this position. But, I mean, unfortunately, her record does not kind of match up with the hype. I mean, we'll get into that when we get into the fight, of course. But all right, the first fight on the main card is where we're going to start. And again, guys, if you don't know who I was just talking to, Mr. Sean I has, Mr. Tony Fagnano. I'm sure we don't get a whole lot of new listeners to these breakdowns, but if we do, if it's your first time, we got Sean I has, we got Tony Fagnano. I think we got a pretty loyal base. I don't know how much we're spreading.
Hey,
I think we got a good loyal base.
Listen, assholes, go out and share this with at least 2 of your friends, or don't come back.
There it is. Please come back though.
but except for that last part.
Sean does not speak on behalf of me. I have other shows on this channel, so I don't care if you listen to the breakdown, but you at least listen to everything else.
Whoa, just throwing this show under the bus? Fuck.
First fight of the main card, we have And two, I guess, if you are a new fan coming into this, congratulations for what you have just stumbled upon, because you have come across a man who cannot pronounce American names, can't pronounce Polish names, can't pronounce Japanese names,
Russian
Chinese names, Australian names. It don't matter. I have no listen. There is no prejudice. I cannot pronounce anybody's names.
I got to put this in context for everyone. We were doing our pre-show kind of breakdown, and he fucked up Artem Lobov.
Again, a man who I have seen fight countless times. I followed him. I followed his saga on Ultimate Fighter. I mean, I just it doesn't matter how many times I've said the name. I will mispronounce your name with no volition. It's pretty incredible. Really, it's kind of a skill if you think about it. So Jonathan Wilson is taking on a guy whose name I'm going to butcher, Oscar Piechota.
Close. I would say that could be wrong.
The reason why this is on the main card is because there is a Polish fighter here in Oscar Piechota. Does anyone know a lot about this fight?
He's actually legit. Piechota, there's a few guys on this card who are debuting, I think of all of them, he's probably the most legit prospect at 185 pounds. Dude can grapple. He's got power. His striking's a little unrefined, but he throws. One of his videos, he can throw high kicks. He's just all around strong guy. I think from what I can tell, his striking's a little raw, but he can grapple, and he's a really, really solid prospect. And on the other hand, you have Jonathan Wilson.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, this is a very winnable fight for him. I mean, if he's even any decent, if he's even halfway decent, I mean, pretty much anywhere really. I mean, striking for sure, but
Well, this is the case of in a few fights on this card. Is we have to watch what weight classes people are competing in and weight cuts, and even with the main event, weight's going to be something we talk about. Jonathan Wilson's coming down from 205 to 185, which I'll be interested to see. I haven't seen how he looks yet. Is he going to try and cut that much weight? Did he lose a bunch of weight? Is he in better shape? Which could be better things for the gas tank. His two losses are to Iwan Cutelaba and Henrique Da Silva, who he looked okay against Da Silva, had him rocked, but once that fight got to the second round, Wilson had nothing for him, and he's got to win over Chris Dempsey. Yippee. So it's a little bit, I think Peixoto is the better fighter.
Who's the guy, real quick, with Chris Dempsey? Because I was watching Silicon Valley, and I don't know if any of you guys are Silicon Valley fans. Either one of you Silicon Valley? No?
Fuck yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the episode of Silicon Valley where they had the UFC Fight Pass streaming on Nucleus?
No, I don't remember that at all.
Okay. So
what?
So Fight Pass went on Nucleus on Silicon Valley, which is like, Nucleus.
Oh, no. Now I remember it.
Okay.
Yes.
The fight that they're showing was Chris Dempsey when he got thunderstruck by...
How do you remember this?
I just remember watching the scene, and I remember going, that's the Chris Dempsey fight. The fight they showed...
Not Scott Askham.
It was Chris Dempsey getting knocked out. Was Scott Askham the one who was really early? Where it was like almost immediate?
So in the UFC? Oh, that was Jonathan Wilson.
It's like, so that's the fight. This fight, Jonathan Wilson and Chris Dempsey, is the fight that they show on Silicon Valley when Fight Pass is on Nucleus. So there you go, everybody. You're welcome for that weird piece of trivia. Or it was Ilir Latifi, but I don't remember.
It could have been.
Might have been Ilir Latifi. Might have been Ilir Latifi now that I think about it. But, I mean, Jonathan Wilson and Ilir Latifi look very, very similar in my defense, so...
Oh God! All right, back on the rails. I think Peixoto's slightly
better.
There
are 7 people who are going to get that joke, and you're welcome to you 7 people.
I'm a little worried about fighting in their home country. It's home country, home city. You would think it's an advantage. We talked about it before. It's extra pressure. It's extra getting tickets for everything, family and friends coming in. My go-to example is when Ben Huen shit himself because he was fighting in North Dakota and lost to Luis Smolka. And people are going to hang that over Ben Huen, and we have one of his fights come up, I believe. But you have to keep that in context. He lost because he couldn't deal with the hometown pressure.
Now he works. Well, yeah. Well, now he works with Fight Brain, which is he works with a mental coach and has for quite some time. And I mean, look what he's been able to do. So yeah.
So aside from if the intangibles don't come into this fight, the hometown debut plus maybe Wilson has made big improvements and weight dropping, I'm going to take Peixoto. Just from what I've seen analyzing fights, that's my pick. But I have just a few concerns, and I also want to see how these guys look at weigh-ins, what those face-offs look like.
Tony, do you have an opinion on this fight, good sir?
I like Peixoto. I think Sean said that he thought he was the best prospect. I would have to have Eve over him. I think he has a little bit more. Fine, Sean. But
I guess he's boring though. He's so boring.
Yes, that is true. I think he's gonna has a chance to be a little bit more successful. I think the line is right. Peixoto's a minus 200 here. I think that's about right. Don't get sucked into the trap of, well, just Jonathan Wilson has a couple UFC wins. or has a UFC win and has UFC experience, because the one guy he beat isn't even in the UFC anymore. And yeah, and it's a meh fight. I'm really curious to see if Wilson even makes weight, because this could totally be a situation where he misses weight and we get Marcin Held on the main card.
There's a few fights, and God bless all of us, that I'm worried about. I don't know if you saw the video today. I'm worried about Sam Alvey making weight and showing up. Speaking to Amiev, like, I don't know. And you can't even, by the way, if Sam Alvey misses weight, guys, don't freak out. He took this fight in a week's notice. Cut him a break here.
Yeah, but Sam Alvey you're talking about?
Yeah. Alvey.
Yeah, hopefully they do, because I feel like he's going to miss weight. I feel like he's going to miss weight. And it's going to be sad because a lot of people still aren't super familiar with him, which means I think they're going to judge the situation and unduly. So that'll be sad. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, I agree with Tony. Jonathan Wilson could very well miss weight. I don't think he will. I mean, if I remember correctly, he wasn't necessarily that big of a 205er. So, I mean, I think I assume he'll be fine here. Is anyone worried about Josh Emmett coming down from 145 or coming down to 145? He's fought at 145 before, so there is precedent there, but it's been a minute.
He's going to be I mean, we'll get there. It's the last fight, but the size advantage in that fight is stupid.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on up here. We have Jan Blachowicz taking on Devin Clark. This is an interesting fight. Jan Blachowicz is a guy who, boy, I mean, he has a real big name. You know, he's fought some of the top tier guys here. I think he has his win over Ilir Latifi, I think, really just kind of pushed him over the edge, because I don't think it was very expected. He was a plus 200 for that fight. Yeah. So, you know, beating Ilir Latifi, I think a lot of people weren't expecting that. He then goes in, gets beat by Manoa, beat by Corey Anderson. You know, he beats a nobody, gets beat by Gustafsson. He just got beat by Patrick Cummins, although he looks a lot better in that Patrick Cummins fight than I expected. Listen, I didn't think that. I don't think Pat Cummins is very good, but I really have just grown to really not think Jan Blachowicz is remotely good. So I'm not necessarily all in on Devin Clark by any means, but I think he gets this done. So I think he gets this done. I'll start with Tony. We started with Sean last time. Tony, Devin Clark, Jan Blachowicz, talk to me. I'm
with you. I'm just really worried about Blachowicz' conditioning. I mean, it's always kind of been an issue, and he likes to, and I think he knows that because of the pace he tends to fight at is very slow, and then he'll go into these, you know, he has a good burst in him, and he I don't know, he just tends to burn out. But I mean, against someone like Devin Clark, I still think he can get it done, especially you know, with an early stoppage. You know, Clark, he hasn't been fighting very long at all. Like he was he's a wrestling guy. Did the looking for the fight thing. I think this is only like his fourth year even like training for MMA, which is kind of insane. You know, but like I said, I mean, it's totally possible Devin Clark is able to use his wrestling and just control this fight and wear down Blachowicz's already pretty suspect gas tank. I would go Blachowicz though with an early finish for Blachowicz.
Sure. I mean, I don't. Again, I'm not all in on Devin Clark. I saw a pretty dramatic improvement. Again, you know, he's fighting his first fight against Alex Nicholson. He had a huge amount of hype behind him. I think he was on looking for a fight, and a lot of those looking for a fight guys coming over hyped. We've already talked about that. We've talked about that to death on these breakdowns. But Alex Nicholson came in and just steamrolls him, and you know, I think that really deflated him. He comes back in against Josh Stansberry, and I mean, I don't know if anyone remembers. Did you guys watch that season of Ultimate Fighter that Josh Stansberry was on? He was pretty good. He was pretty good. That was Khalil came off of that season. Andrew Sanchez came off of that season. You know, it was a Josh Stansberry was pretty good, and he was, you know, Devin Clark looked decent, but nothing crazy. He comes in against Jake Collier. Again, these aren't super big names, but there is a marketed improvement from one fight to the next. And it wasn't just because of a style thing. There was a literal just improvement in who he was as a fighter. And that's the kind of stuff I like to see. And again, I just am so unimpressed with Jan Blachowicz here. I want Devin Clark to win because at least there's some type of promise there. I mean, sometimes I make bad picks because of that. I get hung up on this. I would just so rather see the guy that there's actually something there to gain. Blachowicz wins here, it means nothing. And I hate those types of wins. If Devin Clark wins, it at least means something. Huh?
Is that going to cloud you in the main event?
Yeah, probably a little bit, yeah.
Foreshadowing.
But go ahead, Sean.
This fight, I like Devin Clark a lot. I'm going to be the first one to say it. It's that cliche we all know and love, but still rings true. Styles make fights. Jan Blachowicz cannot stop a takedown. He can't. He had Patrick Cummins hurt. Everyone hurts Patrick Cummins. Couldn't get rid of him. Gets taken down. That's the fight. Blachowicz had some success against Gustafsson on the feet until Gustafsson said, fuck this, I'm going to take you down. And that was the end of the fight. He couldn't do anything. Devin Clark is going to go and I think ragdoll him. Now, Tony's takes Blachowicz early stoppage. That is the only way Blachowicz wins. He's got 3 good minutes in him, maybe 2. He's got a couple good minutes in him, but Clark keeps distance well. I think he's going to keep distance, throw out some leg kicks, shoot a double, get a takedown, and he could get a second round stoppage, or he could just grind out Blachowicz for 3 rounds. The dude can't stop a takedown, and that's what Clark's going to try and do. Now, we've seen it plenty of times where we say this is how the fight's going to play out, and the fighter just doesn't have that strategy at all. So if Clark comes in with the strategy I think he should, I think he wins relatively easily. The line is minus 155. I have Clark in a... See, I wanted to go through my bets as we were doing this today. Kind of like I did last week. It seemed to work out pretty well last week. Yeah. Blachowicz is part of a 2-unit parlay with one other fighter that we'll get to later. So I like Devin Clark a lot. I think he's pretty safe. Blachowicz is a name on the card, but if he can't get a finish in 2 rounds, it's trouble in 2 minutes.
Now, the real question is, will Devin Clark's dad be there? I don't know if you guys remember watching Devin Clark show the fights where his dad was screaming from the side there. That's like all you hear for an entire... It was the fight against Stansberry, I think, where all you could hear...
Aren't you talking? Oh, see, so what is it with that season of The Ultimate Fighter? Because I thought I thought you were talking about Khalil and his mom yelling at him when Andrew Sanchez was beating the shit out of him.
No, it was
2 guys, same season.
It was Devin
Stansberry.
That was Stansberry. But yeah, it was Devin Clark when I think he was fighting Stansberry. His dad was just like, he had this real deep, booming voice. He would just go, Devin! He was just screaming off the side. But yeah, I like that. I think I agree with you there. Anything else you want to add, Tony, before we move on?
No.
So direct. Carolina Kolakowicz is taking on Jody Escabel. We talked a little bit about this fight. Did we talk about this a bit at the beginning, or did we talk about this before we recorded? I don't know. I don't remember.
I think before we recorded. But who knows?
I don't know. I can't keep track of this shit. Her most recent fight was a split decision against Deanna Bennett at Invicta FC 22. Before that, she had lost to Alexa Grasso and also lost on the in the Ultimate Fighter to Ashley Yoder. I mean, I don't see it. Even in some of her other wins here. So, I mean, her first fight, Jackson's MMA series, I don't know, we can't really count those things. Her first fight in Invicta was a split decision. Then she gets choked out. Then she wins another split decision. Then she wins the decision. Then she loses on the Ultimate Fighter. Then she loses to Alexa Grasso. Then she wins a split decision against Deanna Bennett. And then now she's fighting Carolina Kolakowicz. Carolina Kolakowicz, who has fought, some pretty good people. She just fought Joanna. She's fought and beat Rose. You know, she just fought Claudia, although she got choked out. But regardless, I mean, this is such a ridiculous step up in competition for Jodie Escobar here. Do either one of you see her being able to get it done here? I mean, what's the pathway? No. I mean, what's the path? Tony, for the rest of the episode, I just want you answering in yeses and nos.
The path is Carolina just breaks her fucking hand.
Yeah, I was about to say
Escobar's
Carolina just fucks up. I mean, really, it's just like, do you know how Escobar wins? In the same way that John Moraga beats Biliatov. That's how she wins. It's because shit just happens, and there's really no reason for it.
But if I'm being serious, the only way is maybe Escobar has a takedown ground game that I haven't really seen. She goes in and she better not stand with Carolina, so she's going to shoot a takedown. Maybe she gets her down, and Carolina didn't look great in the ground the one time she was there.
And we also don't know where Carolina is mentally here. I mean, 2 straight losses when you were, she had such a good round against Joanna. She didn't have a good fight.
Half a round.
She had a good half a round. Well, that's the thing. Narrative. That fight gets misremembered quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, that fight gets really misremembered because she had basically one punch, if we're being even more honest. It was one punch that, maybe she landed a couple more after that. But, I mean, the loss to Claudia was pretty shocking. I mean, I thought she would lose. I didn't think she could choked out like that. I mean, that was pretty...
That's what I said. Her ground game's pretty weak, so maybe...
God, can you imagine if she goes in there and gets choked out by this chick making her debut?
I don't know if she'll get choked out, but she might get laid on.
Man,
for at least one. I mean, it's possible. I don't think so, but
so those are our possibilities, basically. I mean, okay, Tony, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I think Jodie Escobar is pretty trash.
By the way, I agree.
Tell us how you really feel, Tony.
Well, it's like she was in Invicta. She lost to Alex Chambers. I thought she lost to Jinh Frey as well. The judges gave her a split decision win there. Then she goes on the Ultimate Fighter, gets beat by Ashley Yoder, gets beat by Grasso. She wins another split decision, and somehow that earns her a spot against Carolina in the UFC. I don't get it.
Carolina needs a win, and they need their star to get a win because they're hurting for stars these days.
True. And it's Carolina's home country. It's her deal. So yeah.
And we've given the UFC so much crap for not building stars correctly, and I think they're doing it again in the main event, by the way. But we'll get there. That this is their hand trying to just spoon feed her a win.
Yeah, I mean that's. But it's just like she doesn't seem like, I don't know. It seems, I mean, there could be something there. I don't know why I don't know. We'll see. She is a bit long in the tooth for making a debut and really being able to make a run at 115. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's a future prospect for 125. I don't know. Who knows? Main event. This is really what we're here for. We got Donald Cerrone taking on Darren Till in a fight that, yeah, I agree with you. This is definitely not trading your prospect. I think this is a little soon to be fighting Donald Cerrone, but I think the man gets the job done. I really think Darren Till is going to get the job done here, but but this is early. I mean, this is definitely early. I would like to have seen another tune-up fight here, especially with how long Darren Till was off after the Dalby fight. He's only 2 fights back, and the 2 fights back. Yeah, the records were there, 16-3 and 15-4, but it wasn't built on the backs of what Cowboy has built his record off of. I don't know. This is a bit quick. I mean, this is tough. Just every single piece of conventional wisdom, I think, wants to say go Donald Cerrone here, but I just see Darren Till's style really giving Donald Cerrone issues here. I see Donald Cerrone eating body shot after body shot after body shot and just crumbling. I mean, there is a precedent here of how to beat Donald Cerrone, and the way that you do it, I think, is how Darren Till fights. So I don't know. I mean, It's crazy to imagine that Darren Till could go in there and beat Donald Cerrone. It's even crazier to imagine that Donald Cerrone could drop 3 straight. You know, could have been 4 straight. I mean, he was losing to Matt Brown. I mean, very easily could have lost that fight. You know, so I don't know. That's hard to imagine. And the guys he's losing to, Jorge Masvidal and Robbie Lawler, it's not the same thing as Darren Till, you know, and I understand that. But Darren Till is a prospect, and these prospects are going to constantly be underestimated until they get to a point where they beat someone and you go, oh, okay, yeah, that's who they are. You know, and I like, again, with Colby Covington, I'll bring him up all the time. I think he beats Damian Maia. And I think when that happens, I think people finally go, oh, okay, yeah, now we get it, you know, and they're going to be really late to the party, you know, because it's been there all along. And I wonder if Darren Till is going to be that guy. I also wonder if Cowboy is going to be kind of underestimating this fight a little bit and underestimating Darren Till. Because I see a lot of people doing it. I see a lot of people just giving really no thought to this fight and saying, oh, whatever, Donald Cerrone is going to beat that guy.
Really?
You know,
I see the opposite. There's a lot of people on Till. A lot of people on
Till who have been giving thought to it. The people who are not really giving any thought to it, I think, are automatically just going towards Cerrone. That's not hurtful. That. Well, no. That's not to say that you don't put a lot of thought into it and pick Cerrone, because that's a very smart pick. But I'm saying there are also a lot of people are just picking Cerrone because it's Cerrone, and why the fuck would Cerrone lose to Darren Till? You know, and it's just that's not an actual line of thinking. You know, there's a lot more to it than that. Tony, you've been very quiet today's episode. We're going to start with you again.
I'm all aboard the Darren Till train.
Oh, toot toot,
put me on there.
Toot
I knew it was coming.
Toot toot.
Well, Sean already knew because I gave him a little preview on Twitter, but yeah, I'm all watching just some of his most recent fights, the ones from this year, and even going back to Aspera, the I don't even know if they're around anymore, that Brazilian promotion. Anyway, I just, when you watch him, he's got good clinch grappling, which is something that obviously Cerrone likes to use a lot. He's got very precise punches, very good timing. He's a southpaw, which Sean has already gone over. Cowboy struggles with southpaws. It's just like and plus he's got he's got all the tools to beat Cerrone, but then again, it's fucking Donald Cerrone, and I think it's good matchmaking, because if Darren Till loses, then everyone will be like, oh, but he lost to Donald Cerrone, and I kind of give him a pass, I guess. And he's super young, very young. Yeah, I mean,
that is interesting. This is kind of a perfect fight for him, because if he loses, it's like you lost to Donald Cerrone. Get back in there, kid. You're fine. He beats him, then he beats Donald Cerrone. I mean, yeah.
The only shitty thing is that that there's not a whole lot of hype around Cerrone, at least on the betting line. Because I mean, you would think, it's some nobody fighting Donald Cerrone, like Donald Cerrone's gonna be a big favorite, and then you go check it out, and it's like, oh, he's a minus 165,
minus 150,
or minus 150, yeah. So I mean, you're not really gonna get a whole lot of value taking Darren Till. So I don't see it. I mean, I wouldn't bet on this one. If you do think Cerrone's gonna take it, then I mean, it's a good price, like Sean has done. So go ahead and take that. But and what you guys were referencing earlier, I think we're kind of in a echo chamber, because we follow a lot of smart MMA minds and people, and it's not really like the public perception.
Yeah, the public echo chamber is, and the public echo chamber as in, not casual fans, but people who watch a lot of MMA but don't necessarily dissect it, right? They just watch a lot of MMA and they talk a lot about it. Those guys are all fucking in on Donald Cerrone, and it's not even close, right?
Well, he's like the biggest fan favorite. I mean,
exactly. He was on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
The guy never won a belt,
dude. He was. That is such a good point, Tony. He is the most popular guy to never win a belt. I think that's probably true. I like it.
Besides Nate Diaz.
That's astute, Tony. But we should have a battle off. I'll post a thing on Twitter. Who is the most popular guy to never win a belt? I'm interested in what people's answers are going to be.
After this whole Rashad video, it's going to be Nick Diaz, but whatever.
Oh my God! Don't even. Shut up, Sean. You had to reference it, didn't you?
Yep.
Going all. Why has Rashad been going like full WWE recently?
Bored. Sam Alvey, you're bored.
I mean, no, that wasn't Rashad. That was it was Rampage.
Rampage. You said Rashad.
Well,
I know. Sorry.
There's a whole backstory to that because Rampage, this is kind of like not.
No, Rampage
cool
has been
either.
Rampage has been doing other WWE videos. This isn't the first one. He had one not that long ago too, where they were where the coach slapped the food out of his hand. That he's doing like this whole WWE skit thing, and it's weird. I just don't know why. I don't know why he's doing it.
Did you hear about the story between him and Nick back in the day? And it was like it gets kind of weird because it's like Nick's explaining it, and he's explaining that he's in high school and his girlfriend's in high school, and like Rampage is trying to steal his girlfriend, who must be like 16 or 17. And you're like, I
don't know. It's all fake. Whatever is happening there, I mean, it's 100% fake. So.
Oh no, we're talking about this is the.
No,
backstory
I know the backstory of why that
happened now.
Yeah, but again, what happened now was a contrived. Hey, the camera's right here. All right, action. I mean, it was a. Sean and Tony, if either one of you try to say that video was real, I'm cutting your mics.
100% real.
God damn. All right, well, Tony, see you, buddy.
There's a lot of buffer between the Till pick and my Lonely Cerrone pick over here. It's a lot of buffer.
Timeout. Lonely Cerrone. I don't know if it's a weird little rhyme.
Is that a cowboy? A country group band or something?
Oh, Lonely Cerrone. I was gonna try to do it. I was gonna try to make a song and I decided not to.
Wow.
Yeah, don't let me do it. All right. Is that it? I feel like we didn't give any analysis.
No, hang on.
You go. Give analysis. Give analysis, Sean.
I have a 4-unit bet on Donald Cerrone at -150.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Because no, it wasn't. The price is so good. He should be -200.
It's good because he's going to lose. So they tend to.
No. Okay, hang on. I'm going to start by conceding points. If Till beats anyone in the top 10, it's probably Donald Cerrone because he throws body kicks. And that's Cerrone's just. If you don't know that, he's weak to the body.
Man.
Yeah, it's just. I don't know what to tell you. You're watching fights wrong. So that's the narrative most smart people, or not smart people, sharps are going to, who are picking Till. Body shots, and Cerrone struggles with southpaws. Let's flip that. Till, it's just such a huge, as DC would say, there are levels to this. And Till just, I'll believe it when I see it. And he could go out and prove me wrong, and I still think minus 150 would be a great price, is a great price. Till drew against Nicholas Dalby, won a fucking awful fight against Yesin Ayari where he didn't look good. And the first couple of minutes of the Bohan Velichkovic fight, Velichkovic was having success. You're going to tell me that a guy in which Bojan Velichkovic was getting off on you, that guy's going to go and beat Donald Cerrone? I can't get my brain around it. I just can't. I think Cerrone leg kicks the crap out of Darren Till and takes him down. Everyone seems to forget that Cerrone has a ground game. He's going to start striking the Muay Thai. I think if Till has any kind of success with those kicks, unless an early one puts down Cerrone, which is possible with MMA, a liver shot could put you down at any moment. If he lands one or two of those that don't put Cerrone down, the third one Cerrone's going to catch or time and shoot a double and take this kid down. I haven't seen enough on the ground where I know Cerrone has a competent ground game. I think Cerrone kicks the legs, maintains distance, the experience factor, the kid's first main event, 15-0-1. You brought up Bibliotov before. Everyone takes the first L. I just
Sure.
Donald Cerrone, for who he is and who he's fighting in this situation, minus 150 was just way too good for me to pass up.
Now, I don't feel like super confident about this. We'll see if there's any other fights on here that we disagree on. If there isn't, I will take a loudmouth bet with you. You take Cerrone, I'll take Till.
I'm surprised you're not saving this for Anthony Hamilton.
Well, like I said, I don't know. There might be other fights here. We'll see. There might be other fights here, but I'm pretty sure that I think we're going to agree pretty much on everything else. So if we don't disagree somewhere else, I will loudmouth bet you for Donald Cerrone, Darren Till. All right. Next up, we have this is the top fight on our. This is our main. I mean, there's no really main fight on the prelims because it's just a Fight Pass card, so I mean it's just going in succession. But Marcin Held is taking on. Are you guys ready for this? Nasrat Hakparast. I think I got it.
We started
Golf
from
clap.
the bottom.
Started from the bottom. Now we're here. Started from the bottom. Now the whole team here. What are you talking about, Tony?
No, this is the order every week, Tony.
Only every week, man. We go from the first fight on the main to the main event, and then we go from the top fight on the prelims and work our way down.
I must have CET. I mean CTE.
He didn't even call it. He didn't even call it the right name. He said, "I must have CET."
I got brain damage. Dude.
Calling it by the wrong name was so perfect. Boy, Marcin Held, man, talk about a guy who has just had I mean, I don't know if it's just been bad luck or what it is, but I mean, let me just go into Marcin Held's fights real quick here. So he makes his debut against Diego Sanchez. He clearly loses the fight, but he hung in there, man. He hung in there, but he clearly lost the fight, right? Huge favorite to beat Diego Sanchez, okay? Then he fights Joe Lozon. Clearly beats Joe Lozon, loses split decision, right? First thing Joe Lozon does when he gets on the mic was apologize and say that he didn't win, okay? So then he goes in and he fights ostensibly kind of a nobody. And we all go, all right, this is where Marcin Held finally gets it done here. Fantastic. It goes into the third round. I think he's winning the fight at that point.
He is. He's up 2-0.
He up 2-0. Goes into the third round, eats a fucking knee from hell, and
Wait, hold on.
Boom, unconscious.
He tries to pull off an Amari.
Oh my God, he tries to, that's what it was. He tries to do one of those goddamn, like, Ryan Hall rolls. And, just gets thunderstruck. And there it is. I mean, this kid, man, Marcin Held just can't win for losing. Can't win for losing, Sean. Can't do it. And now he's fighting a prospect here, and a pretty legit prospect. I mean, listen, I don't think he is going to have any problem out grappling him here. I mean, I think that's what you're going to see here. I think he's just going to kind of out grapple him, and he's just going to be better. But the big thing, man, is this kid that's coming in. He's young. He was born and raised in Afghanistan, I'm pretty sure. He's fought, he's been training with GSP. I mean, this is a real prospect. I mean, this is like kind of what a young prospect looks like. So, hey, I mean, this is going to be a tough fight for Marcin Held. I think he gets it done, but this is a tough fight for him. Very, very tough fight for him.
Yeah, I like the odds on Hakparast at plus 345. I'm not betting it, but DraftKings, I'm going to have a couple shares there because Marcin Held, if he wins, he's just going to lay on the dude for 3 rounds.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He's not going to score heavy.
And he should have the way that I see the fight playing out is that Marcin Held should have no real problem out grappling him. I mean, I think I think he should have a pretty distinctive advantage in there, and I kind of think that's the direction the fight's going to go. But again, man, this is a legit prospect, and if they start rolling around where Marcin Held's going to be feeling really comfortable, he might get caught in something. I mean, this kid's legit.
But the longer the fight goes, the longer there's an opportunity for Held to do something stupid, like try an Amari roll, or Held in Bellator, and before that, he's a leg lock guy. Like,
Yeah.
maybe he holds on to a leg lock too long and gets his face pounded in. There's so many different things that could happen.
Well, and this guy too. It's also good to note here that he's never completed a fight. His last fight was his longest fight, which was a little bit into the third round. I think the third round had kind of just started. Before that, he hadn't even had 3-round fights, really. I mean, he had a 2-round fight, and we love MMA 24.
Yeah, like, Marcin Held should win. Haqparast, what I've seen on tape, looks like a solid all-around prospect. I think his strength is his grappling, and if as Kyle mentioned, we don't get many new listeners apparently.
Yeah.
So you should know my thought of if your strength, your opponent is better at it, you're probably screwed. I think Haqparast's strength is his grappling. I just have no confidence in Held. It's a total stay away. If you're playing DraftKings, I might take a little shot on Haqparast because he's so damn cheap. But this fight is just not exciting. I feel like they're trying to get Held to win, and he'll probably fuck it up.
Yeah. It feels like they're trying to give him a win, but that they gave him a guy that's like, they just don't realize that this is a guy who's going to become something. It's almost kind of like what they did with Mickey Gall and CM Punk. Like, they didn't realize that, like, Mickey Gall actually was going to be able to do some shit, and not just to CM Punk, but to other people as well. That there was actually some baseline skill there that, they just didn't really catch on to. And it kind of feels like this could be that. In 2 years, you're looking at this guy fighting in the top 20 range, and you're going, oh, wow, okay, yeah, I mean.
It's probably a little aggressive. I got to see him more.
Sure. It's just he's surrounding himself with the right people. That's for sure. He is surrounding himself with the right people. All right, Tony. Backwards hat man.
Betting Haqparast for sure. Plus 350.
Ooh.
I'm taking it. I like the odds. A lot of his wins are by ground and pound TKO. He doesn't really slow down a lot. I mean, I know he hasn't gone to the later rounds. Watching tape, he still has a lot of energy even in the third round. I just see Held holding on to submissions too long, winding up. I mean, yes, he is a very good grappler. Yes, he is. Is he a good wrestler? I don't think that's been proven. He was able to take down guys like Joe Lozon, who's always not had good takedown defense, and what was the other guy he fought? There was some Hadjovic.
The guy.
Vladimir Hadjovic.
It was like regional type guy. Like, I don't. And like Sean was saying, Haqparast is known for his grappling as well. More so like his takedowns and his double leg. There's a really good write up on MMA Today from Sean Bitter, not Sean Ihaz, breaking welcome to the UFC. There's a few of them on this card. I think there's a couple of them on this card where he just kind of breaks them down. But yeah, at plus 350, that's insane. I mean, I understand that yes, Held got screwed over in that Lozon fight, but I mean, even every other fight other than that, he's done something stupid or he's just looked terrible. So,
thank you very, very, very much, Tony.
Plus 350.
Yeah, man, take it. Take it at plus 350.
Maybe not listen to me because I didn't get a single bet right last week. Like, don't tail me. If you want to tail someone, tail somebody else. But I'm not the only one taking this. I think Dan Levi is as well from Half the Battle. So I'm not alone. I'm not like the only one just throwing shit out there.
I mean, I don't.
I'm already betting on one newcomer, and I can't do two in a
Not gonna
card.
do
I
two.
just can't. And you know who it is, Kyle. You know who it is.
I do, and we're getting ready to get down to it here. Okay, let's. All right, Sean. I feel like you should introduce this fight.
I'm fucking stewing already.
Can you introduce this fight, Sean?
Sure. So, in the heavyweight division, you have Anthony Hamilton, that gay motherfucking dumbass who gets knocked out by Marcel Fortuna and runs into the goddamn cage, then goes out to a jab from Justin Spitz, retires. That was about a month ago.
Or
Well,
Daniel
yeah, he's
Spitz.
fighting.
Daniel
Yeah,
Spitz.
whatever. Who gives a fuck? That guy just lost a decision to Mark Godbeer, so who gives a fuck who he is?
Yep.
He's going to get back in the cage a month after retiring because he probably needs the money. And he's going to fight Adam Wojcicki, who I don't know a ton about. He seems like an okay, probably the worst prospect on this card, but there are some good ones here. I don't care. If he lands a jab, Anthony Hamilton's going to sleep. Hamilton should, in theory, be able to wrestle this guy. It's not going to happen. It's just not. And we're talking to a few people on Twitter about this. I refuse to sink a goddamn dime into Anthony Hamilton on DraftKings. And if he pulls off a win, because he's only plus. When this fight opened, he was actually the favorite. That's not the case anymore because Sharps jumped on it right away. Wojcicki is minus 135. Anthony Hamilton is plus 115. By the way, the second that parlay I had referenced earlier, the second leg is Adam Wojcicki. So it's Clark and Wojcicki, 2 units at plus 190.
I think what's weird here is that you're obviously not taking into account the fact that Anthony Hamilton beat Ruin Potts.
Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? Right now, Kyle, if me or you were to get in the cage and land a jab, and it's part of it, I'm tilted because Anthony Hamilton has lost me a lot of money against Marcel Fortuna, so it's tilting. And even though I had Spitz, I was like 80-20 on DraftKings. I still had a little bit of Hamilton, and now I refuse to go down that road. It's a little sad, in all honesty, guys. He shouldn't be in the cage. Like, you see people whose chin just go. Like, that's some serious brain damage,
Sure.
CTE stuff. And that was a month ago.
Anthony Hamilton's lost to Todd Duffy. I mean, Todd Duffy's not a heavyweight.
Are you just trying to rile me up? so put it this way: Anthony Hamilton's chin is cooked, guys. Think. I know,
but he beat Damian Grabowski. I mean, he beat Damian Grabowski just about a year and a half ago.
You're such a terrible person.
Anthony Hamilton is basically Gareth at this point. I mean, I would not bet on him if he was fighting a mouse. I mean, it doesn't. Yeah. I would not pick him for any possible reason. There's no reason for him to win this fight. There's no reason for him to be fighting, period. I don't wish bad will. I don't have any bad will on the guy, obviously. We say dramatic shit because it's a podcast and dramatic shit's interesting to listen to, but I mean, I have no ill feelings toward him whatsoever, but there's no reason for him to be fighting. I mean,
he needs the money, which is scary.
Yeah, which is really sad, and he's going to get knocked the fuck out, so that's it. That's all there is to it.
The only way he wins, by the way, is he takes down Wojcicki 3 times in the first 10 seconds of each round and manages to not get hit once.
Yeah.
That's how he wins.
Yeah. Or just it's heavyweight, or he lands a shot. I mean, I don't know.
In the first 10 seconds? It's possible. It is heavyweight.
Seconds. Tony? What say you, good sir?
Nothing. I don't give a shit about this fight.
I like it. You feel, I mean, I obviously, that's how I feel too. I was going to try to say a little bit more than that, but that's pretty much how I feel. So let's move on down to Brian Kelleher taking on Damian Stasiak.
The hot take I was right on, almost.
The hot take with Brian Kelleher?
Stasiak. You remember when you basically laughed at me that I picked Stasiak against Pedro Munoz, and I had people laughing at me, and he lost the fight. But goddamn, he scared some people, and I thought he looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't pick him against most people, to be honest with you, but I would pick him against Brian Kelleher. I think you saw a flash in the pan. He goes into Brazil and beats, Alcantara in fantastic fashion. Again, in his home country on pretty short notice, if I remember correctly. And, he goes in and gets fucking blasted by Marlon Vera, and gets arm locked. I mean, I don't know. He's a flash of the pan. He's gonna lose every fight on the left here, and he's gonna go back to CES. And
I watched that fight, by the way. I was at the Kelleher fight. because that was the UFC Long Island card, and it was I was very heavy on Alcantara in that fight, betting DraftKings, and all of a sudden he forgot how to defend a guillotine because he didn't respect Kelleher, and he tapped out. Doesn't even defend it right. It was weird. So I have some ill will towards Brian Kelleher. See him at UFC Long Island. He gets arm locked, and the whole building goes silent, and I'm cheering like a lunatic, like the 10 Brazilian people two sections over.
Right. You all wanted to see blood. But yeah, I'm not going to pick Damian Stasiak against most fighters, but I will pick him against Brian Kelleher here.
I think you're underselling him, man. He's big improvement from the Davy Grant fight to Pedro Munhoz to
sure
to this fight. This is a fight I have a bet on this fight, 1.5 units on Damian Stasiak at plus 100. He should be, I think, minus 175. I think it's a great price. His striking's coming along. He throws some flashy stuff. He's got good grappling. He's going to be a borderline top 15 guy in this division. And I know I'm in the minority thinking that, but I really like just the improvements he made in his game.
Tony, do you approve of Sean's hot takes?
No, I'm gonna stick with the boring Kelleher pick.
You're fucking high.
Yeah, maybe. But I don't know. I'm not very impressed with Damian Stasiak.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Kelleher isn't the greatest athlete in the world or anything, but he is very well rounded. The way I see Stasiak maybe winning would be, getting a submission maybe. But I don't know. I just see a boring Kelleher decision.
Yeah. Let's try to blast through the rest of these here. Ramazin, I believe it is Imiev.
The best prospect on the card.
Ramazin Imiev taking on Sam Alvey. Sam stepping into this fight on very, very short notice. Imiev was originally supposed to fight Trevor Smith. Man, I love my boy Sam. I'm picking Imiev. This is not a great fight for him. I mean, it could be. You could see basically what you saw with like the Elias Theodorou fight. Honestly, you could see a very just constantly at range, take down here. Well, because here's the thing: if he doesn't do that, then I'm going to pick Sam Alvey. If I really think that Imiev is going to go in there and is going to open himself up to landing one on the chin, then I'm going to pick Alvey because I think that he can do something. I think he hasn't had a knockout in a while, and I think he's due for one. And, just on that, I think a lot of guys really game plan for him. That's why they don't get knocked out. Well, this is a short notice fight. They're not necessarily game planning for a guy that's able to hit like Sam. Sam has a very weird stance, and that stance allows him to generate an enormous amount of power for that weight class. So if it's Imiev, correct? Imiev? Anybody? Sure. Imiev.
I think.
So if Imiev goes in there and it does anything other than a Theodorou game plan, then I will definitely pick Sam Alvey. But I think what Imiev is going to do is going to go in there, he's going to be cautious, and he's going to stay away, and he's going to land some kicks, he's going to land a takedown or two, and it's just going to be a really hideously boring fight.
It's going to be somewhere. It's going to be boring, but I don't think not when you said Theodorou, that was range. Imiev is going to. He's a clinch fighter. He's going to clinch and grind on Alvey. He's going to put him up against the cage, lean on him, tire Alvey out, who's got a lot of weight to cut in a short amount of time. Took the fight in a week's notice.
Yep.
Probably wears him out that way. Alvey, he's got power, but again, I don't think this is very high scoring for DraftKings. Betting wise, I need to see Imiev in there against Alvey on the UFC stage. He's, as Tony said, very good prospect. I rated Pichota a little bit higher, but they're both solid prospects. Again, it's just and the unknown of the opponent change. I mean, I'm taking Imiev, but it's not with any huge degree of confidence. For that, we can go over to Tony.
Tony.
I mean, yeah, I don't really disagree with anything Sean said, I mean, yes, it's his debut, but that's because he was attached to M1 Global. He's beaten guys who are UFC level, like Vasilevsky and Anatoly Tokov.
Yeah.
And seven knockouts and 3 submissions. I mean, the guy is good, just flat out good. And I don't know. Sam Alvey taking this fight on short notice, I think, was a bad decision. I don't know. I don't see this one going good for him.
Yeah, I am not. If I were Sam's manager, I don't think I would have taken this fight. I think
I don't see the benefit unless there's some kind of promise or something being made under the table with him in the UFC. I just don't see the benefit.
You lose this fight and that Vitor fight becomes possible. That
something like that.
That kind of thing. Well, if he,
those
dude,
things go.
If he fights Vitor after this, then the collusion. I will be like, oh yeah, that happened under the table for sure. And the next time I interview Sam, I'm gonna make him admit it. All right.
Can I plug one more? I know
sure.
I'm plugging a lot.
No, you're gonna plug the newcomers.
Kind of. Well, Dennis Geiko, who's our Russian writer, who actually lives in Russia and everything, had an interview with Emiev, and he just talks about his.
I just shared it right now. So go to my Twitter, go to LoudMouth MMA, and you will see it. I just shared it.
He's got some interesting stuff because his gym was basically banned from M1 Global. So some cool stuff in there.
All right, let's fly through these. Artem Lobov, probably the most underrated fight on the card, honestly. Artem Lobov taking on Andre Fili, a fight that should be a lot of fun. Is this fight on the main card?
It should be.
Yeah, this is gonna be a really fun fight. Tony, why are you shaking your head? No, for real, why are you shaking your head? Why?
Because this is gonna be awful.
Why?
Oh my god.
Why? What was besides the Ryan Hall fight? What was the last awful Artem Lobov fight?
I don't know.
Listen, the hate on Artem Lobov, on Artem Lobov is ridiculous, and I won't stand for it because it's fucking stupid. Whatever, dude. He's trying to make a bunch of money. He's trying to do the whole thing with Conor. Who gives a shit? He's fun to fucking watch, man, and he's one of the most game fighters in the UFC. When people say that they would fight anybody, they do not mean it. I promise you, most of the fighters do not mean it. Artem Lobov 100% means it, and we all know it. That month he would fight Conor. I mean, he would fight anybody. So he does
fight Conor. He's a sparring partner.
Well, but you know what I mean. I'm saying I was implying that he would fight anybody. So he will fight anybody, and when he does fight, he's a lot of fun. He hangs out in the pocket. He doesn't run from anybody. He can fucking take a shot better than just about anybody else. I mean, I don't know, man. The hate on him is a little ridiculous. So he's not very good. I'm not saying he's a good fighter, but the hate's a little ridiculous. And I think this will be a fun fight. And it'll be a fun fight because of Artem Lobov, because his ability to take a shot, because of his, because he won't back away. He's not going to run from anything. He doesn't tire out. It's going to be a fun fight. And Andre Fili is a pretty creative striker.
Yeah, Fili's not a boring striker either.
No, and Andre Fili, and also isn't, I don't think, going to back away or anything. So I just think it'll be this will be a really fun fight to watch, and I am looking forward to it.
Did you look at the reach?
I'm sure. I haven't looked, but I'm sure Andre Fili, Artem Lobov has had a reach discrepancy against everybody he's ever fought.
Well, we're talking about 10 inches of reach.
Oh,
or something.
Yeah, but I don't even think that's the worst he's had. I mean, Artem Lobov is constantly at a huge disadvantage. I mean, Artem Lobov, they call him little T-Rex arms. I mean, he has in his reach 66 or something stupid.
65.
I'm 5'8" and I have a 74-inch reach. So.
That is abnormal.
Well, yeah, okay, I do. I have a really long reach.
Example.
I guess I have a really. I forgot that I have a really long reach. But anyway, I mean, still.
You into fighting.
70. Yeah, well, I didn't, so there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, what reach does Ishihara have? And he beat him.
he doesn't have an extremely long reach either. I don't
think Ishihara has that.
Feely
long
is
reach.
very long.
Yeah, but regardless, I think it'll be a non-issue. I think it'll be a non-issue.
I'm picking Team Alpha Male just because.
I'm picking Andre Feely to win. But it's not because of the reach.
I'm taking Lobov.
All right.
What's up, boo?
Hey, what up, girl? Talk to me.
It's just based on the way Andre Feely dealt with the movement of Calvin Kattar. And I picked Kattar in that fight. Feely just... Lobov's awkward movement, I know he's got a reach disadvantage. I think it's going to do enough to keep Feely at bay, make him tentative, and kind of stifle some of that creativity. Lobov's a weird dude. Like, he's just a weird guy to go in there and face. What I'm worried about happening, making the Lobov pick, is I'm worried that Feely goes back to what he did previously in his UFC career and starts trying to take people down. Because Alex White took down Lobov 3 times. If Feely shoots, I'm going to... But I think it's going to become an awkward stand-up battle, and I'll take the underdog. And I did not like how Feely looked in that Kattar fight at all.
Well, I didn't like how he looked in the fight before that one either. I mean, he's not...
He won that fight, didn't he?
Yeah, but he didn't necessarily look... I mean, let me look real quick.
He beat Hakran Diaz.
Yeah, he beat Hakran Diaz. He obviously lost to Yair Rodriguez in pretty fantastic fashion. Which he lost to Pepe, but again, I think that's not that crazy either. I'm just looking through his fights.
I think he's just gone win-loss.
Yeah,
right?
for a while now. I mean, one of his second fight was against Max Holloway, so you can't really fault him too much for that. And then he fought the Arantes guy, Felipe Arantes, who's fighting Josh Emmett. He fought him. They must have fought at 145. So this is definitely not the first time that Felipe's done that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not terribly impressed with Andre Feely, but I think he could beat Artem Lobov. Artem Lobov makes fights look a lot closer than they actually are because he can hang in there. He can hang in the pocket. He can take a punch. So fights tend to look closer than they really are. You know, the fight against Cub Swanson wasn't even close, but it looks a lot closer because nobody expected him to make it 5 rounds. I expected him to make it 5 rounds. I knew there was no way in hell that Cub Swanson was getting him out of there. It wasn't. That was never going to happen. So, you know, so he gets kind of he gets inflated a little bit because he looks like he's doing something that people aren't expecting, but I just expect it every time. So I expect this fight to go to a decision, and I expect Andre Feely to probably win it pretty soundly. You know, but it'll go to decision. I think it'll be a fun fight to watch. Warley Alves taking on another newcomer here in Salim. I believe I'm just going to go with Tahari.
Sure.
Tahari. Nickname Grizzly. We'll just go with that because I'm a big fan of that nickname. We have very similar birthdays. As I was scrolling through, I just caught that with my eyes.
We do not know anything about this guy.
No, I just looked through. We have very similar birthdays. He's won his last 2 fights in the first round. Finished most of his fights. That's about all I got. He's in a promotion. He's in a promotion I've never heard of.
They're trying to get Warley Alves a win. He's supposed to fight Jim Wallhead. He gets pulled. They bring in this guy, Alves. I know he lost to Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington. Yeah, those guys aren't him.
Yeah, listen, he lost to Brian Barberena after beating him, and basically Barberena was able to withstand a wicked guillotine that most humans would not have been able to stand, right? Most people would have tapped out, okay? He beat Colby Covington, which is a big deal. It's a big deal, especially what you've seen that Colby Covington...
He won that fight.
He won that fight against Colby Covington. And then he loses to Usman, who Usman might be the best person at 170, honestly. He might be the best fighter at 170. So,
give me Usman Woodley.
Yeah.
Woo!
I mean, I think Woodley would win just because there's a strength thing there, but boy, I mean, again, you're talking about that's it, That's the only guy that I really see being able to beat Usman. And I don't even necessarily see that all the way. But, I mean, that's about it. And listen, I think, my love for Colby Covington. Usman would absolutely walk through Colby Covington. So, I'm a big fan of Usman. I'm a big fan of Usman here. But anyway, this isn't even that's not the guy who's fighting.
Alves has wins over against Nordin Taleb and Alan Jouban 3 years ago when that meant something. Jouban's a little over the hill now, but he's a good fighter. So there's
no reason for him to lose this fight. If he loses this fight, it's because, like we say, shit happens, man. Like, if you lose this fight, it's because shit happens. I think there's no reason for him to lose it. If somebody knows something on this guy, I mean, let us know. But anything that I can see, I haven't heard anybody explain anything to me. He doesn't fight out of a camp that I'm familiar with. He fights out of a promotion that, I'm not super familiar with. Like, I don't know.
I'm taking him at plus 500.
Yeah, there you go, buddy. You enjoy that.
No, I don't have any thoughts. I was just remembering, though, a lot of people were hating on me because Artem Lobov posted that picture with the giant machine gun, and I just wanted to say fuck you to all those people because it's stupid either way. Like, I'm pro gun and everything, but why post a picture of you with a giant machine gun like a week after UFC raised a bunch of money for the shooting victims from Vegas? I don't know why that just popped in my head, but
because he's fucking Artem Lobov and he's stupid. I mean,
that's true.
I mean, whatever.
I'll give him a pass.
Yeah, it's Artem Lobov, man. I mean, again, I was just talking about how he stands in the pocket and withstands damage. I mean, that's all he does.
He's got the CET.
He's got the CET. Okay, we already talked about this fight earlier. Josh Emmett is moving down in weight, and Orentez is moving up in weight. This fight is at 145. Tapology is incorrect. I got Josh Emmett here.
Yeah, I have Josh Emmett.
I have Josh Emmett pending the weigh-in result.
Yes, because Josh Emmett at 155 had a tendency to gas. So what the fuck is he going to look like cutting 10 more pounds? And, does he look better? I don't know. I just feel like most people don't look better moving down in weight. People tend to look better going up in weight. So I'm nervous that he is really going to have just an anti-gas tank. So,
but Aranchez is coming up for 135, or he wasn't even a big 135 pounder. The strength advantage it's going to be hard for Aranchez to tire Emmett out when Emmett's just on top of him the whole fight, or just Emmett hits harder. It's just. I have Emmett 1.5 units to win inside the distance at plus 189. I think he gets the job done pretty early.
Yeah. All right, last fight here. Then we got to get out of here. Lena Landsberg taking on Aspen Ladd. I am very, very excited to see Aspen Ladd fight.
Fuck yeah.
I have been really waiting on her to fight. I am glad that she's not fighting Jessica Ai because she was probably going to lose that fight. She's now fighting Lena Landsberg, and I think she will. And I think she will win that fight. So
shame on the Ultimate Fighter for not taking her and taking Eubanks, who she already beat.
Yeah,
fucking stupid.
I don't know. That's weird. But Aspen Ladd is fantastic, man. I'm really excited to watch her. I'm really, really excited to watch her fight. And Aspen Ladd's going to fight at 125 moving forward. So, yeah, that's really all I got to say. I mean, Lena Landsberg is really nothing, and Aspen Ladd is a legitimate prospect. So I really think...
Huge.
I mean, is there a style thing here that I need to pick up on?
No, she's better.
Okay, I was about to say, is there something that I'm missing?
Aspen Ladd is going to be, one of the most legit prospects at 125. Like I said, total shame that the Ultimate Fighter fucking passed over her and taking people that she beat. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm angry about that.
All right, guys. Well, that was it, man. That was our show. We went on a little longer than I would like to have, but that's okay. Sean, tell us where to find you.
Make sure you follow me on Twitter at the DFS Sniper. Also right here on the LoudMouth channel and over on MMA Today. I will do the DFS Express, breaking down all these fights in just 10 minutes, giving you DraftKings plays, which are different than fight picks on occasion. So make sure and check that out. Give me a follow, like the videos. Appreciate it, guys.
Mr. Tony Tone.
Twitter, Big Tone MMA, website today.com. Shameless plug again. Josh Emmett interviews, talks about that weight cut that we were talking about earlier with our new writer, Farah. I'm going to butcher her last name, so I'm not going to say it. And that's about it. Yeah.
Awesome, man. You can find the podcast at LoudMouth MMA on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Snapchat, wherever you young whippersnappers are. You can find the podcast on social media. You can also find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and officially Google Play. I had said we were on Google Play, but apparently we were not on Google Play. It was brought to my attention, so I fixed it. We are now officially on Google Play. There you go. We should be everywhere. If there's a podcast thing that you would rather listen to us on and we're not there, let me know and I will attempt to get us there. That's all I got, guys. Thank you very much for breaking this fight card down with me. UFC Poland,
Gdansk.
UFC Gdansk, also known as UFC Fight Night 118. Cowboy vs. Hill, let's do it.